In this lecture, we're discussing the second possible way of classifying contracts, that is, classifying contracts on the basis of whether or not the contract can be enforced, that is, according to enforceability. In the previous lecture, we've already considered the very first classification, that is, classifying contracts on the basis of formation. Before we start discussing these four terms in detail, the ones that you can see on your screen, let me warn you that this is not the only way of looking at the enforceability element. That is, there are various other terms that some authors have introduced and discussed in their textbooks. So you will find that if you refer to different textbooks, you will see that contracts are usually classified on various different criteria, and these are not the only terms that you would come across. However, for the purposes of this course, I am only going to be referring to these terms with the specific meanings that I have stated here and the explanation that I will be giving. So please ensure that you stick to the terminology that is introduced by your instructor, because each of these terms are often explained and defined in various different ways by different authors. So ensure that you stick to the definitions that have been provided by your instructor. And of course, if these same terms have been used by your instructor or the prescribed textbook that you are using for your course, then of course you can stick to these terms and definitions. Okay, so without further ado, let's begin discussing these terms. And of course, like always, I will be giving examples to illustrate the meaning of each of these terms. Okay, so the very first one is a valid contract, and this term has a very simple meaning, that is, a contract that is enforceable by both the parties. And to elaborate, a valid contract is one that is legally binding and is enforceable. So in the event of any problem, any party to a valid contract can take it to court for enforcement. So since we already studied that a contract is differentiated from an agreement on the basis that a contract is enforceable while an agreement is not, so just remember that a contract is going to be valid as long as it has that enforceability element, because once we look at what unenforceable agreement means, you will be able to contrast a contract with an unenforceable agreement. But for now, just remember that any contract that is validly formed is going to be enforceable. So for instance, if a person agrees to sell his car to another person for a specific price and also stipulates which car it is, that is the relevant model of the car and so on and so forth, and of course a specific price, then this is a valid contract. Now coming to void contracts, a void contract is one that has no legal effect whatsoever. So this simply means that the court is not even going to recognize the existence of such a contract. And typical and everyday examples of void contracts are, for instance, gambling agreements or bribery agreements, and the court will never enforce such agreements, which is why such contracts are considered as void contracts. So anything that is going against the law, that is illegal in itself, is going to be void. So for instance, if a person steals certain goods, and let's call this person A. So let's say that A has stolen certain goods, and then A promises B that as long as B does not expose A, then A is going to pay 1 lakh rupees to B. So in this situation, since this agreement is illegal, that is, it's going against the law because it involves stolen goods, so remember that such kind of an agreement is going to be void, and this is a typical example of a void contract, that is one that has no legal effect whatsoever. And in short, usually illegal agreements, that is agreements that are going against the law, that are unlawful in themselves, are always going to be considered as void contracts. That is, they are going to be deprived of the element of enforceability, regardless of the fact that the parties themselves definitely did intend to create legal relations. That is, the parties themselves did definitely intend to enforce those contracts. They were not just entering into mere agreements. However, despite all of this, the court considers that such agreements are void. That is, in the eyes of the law, anything that is going against the law is going to be considered as a void contract. Okay, so valid and void contracts we've already discussed, and before I come to voidable contracts, I'm going to quickly go through unenforceable agreements because that's pretty simple. And on the other hand, voidable contracts are one that most students find difficult to understand. Okay, so unenforceable agreements are those agreements which are otherwise valid but they lack certain technical formalities, that is, some technical formalities have not been complied with, and those formalities, since they are required by the law, so the absence, that is the lack of the compliance with these formalities, means that the agreement becomes unenforceable until, of course, the agreement does eventually comply with those formalities. Now let me give you a simple example to explain what I just said. So let's take lease agreements for instance, or better yet, maybe you are not familiar with lease agreements. Let's talk about arbitration agreements. And arbitration agreements have to be in writing, at least as far as the law in Pakistan and most other countries is concerned. So since the law requires that an arbitration agreement has to be in writing, so a mere oral agreement to enter into arbitration or to start arbitration proceedings between two parties is not going to be sufficient. That is, that kind of an agreement is definitely not going to be enforceable. Why? Because it lacks that technical formality, that is the fact that the agreement had to be reduced in writing before it can claim enforceability. So like I said, this agreement is otherwise valid. There is no issue with this agreement as such. However, it lacks enforceability. Why? Because a technical formality has not been complied with, that is, the agreement has not been reduced into writing. However, like I said earlier, once the agreement is reduced into writing, that is, a written arbitration agreement is formed or a written arbitration clause is entered into a prior contract, then in this situation it will become enforceable once the technical formalities have been complied with. Right, so now let's discuss the third one, that is avoidable contract. And like I said earlier, this is the one that is relatively trickier than the others. So avoidable contract, as the name itself suggests, is a contract that is voidable. That is, if you just separate the two words, you can see that it forms two different words, void and able. So once you look at it this way, you can see that a contract that can be made void, that is a contract that you are able to render void, that you are able to make void, is going to be considered as a voidable contract. And once again, once we look at an example, this definition is going to be much easier to understand. Okay, so for instance, if a minor, that is a child, enters into a contract, let's say because the parent forced him or her into doing so, but once they reach the age of majority, which is usually 18 for contracts, then the minor has the option to avoid the contract altogether, and the legal term for this kind of a situation is that the minor has the option to rescind the contract. That is, the contract is going to be considered rescinded, and rescinded is spelled as RESCINDED in case you don't know. So to repeat, if we look at the definition that I've put forward on the screen, a voidable contract is one that is enforceable by law at the option of the aggrieved party. This simply means that the aggrieved party, in our example, that's the minor, can later on, once they reach the age of majority, they have the option to make that contract void, or they have the option to make that contract enforceable once they reach adulthood. So in short, a voidable contract is a contract that is initially considered valid, but the contract's legal effect can be cancelled by the parties later on. So this power to cancel or avoid a contract altogether is given by the law to individuals in certain situations. And we looked at one situation where, for example, a minor whose ability to enter into binding agreements is itself in question. So in this particular situation, contracts entered into by minors are avoidable until they reach adulthood, and when a minor uses his or her right to avoid the contract, that contract is considered rescinded. And this means not only that any current or future effect of the contract is cancelled, but more importantly also that the minor is going to be restored as much as possible to his or her previous position. So if the power to avoid is not utilized, however, the contract is considered valid and enforced as such, which is why we consider these kinds of contracts as voidable. That is, the ability that the law gives to the aggrieved party to decide whether or not they are happy to consider the contract as valid, or if they want, the contract can be made void. That is why such contracts are considered as voidable. That is, the party has the option to consider the contract void if they so decide.